Test, test, test. If you can hear me, please type in the box. Oh, I forgot there's like this crazy lag with YouTube Hangout, so I'll probably hear everybody say, yeah, we're hearing you after about 20 minutes. And so I'm just going to get started. Let me make sure Danny's got a link to get in here. Give me just a moment to pop this over to him. When you do respond, okay, Todd says he can hear me. Do I sound fine, Todd? The rest of you guys, everything cool? I don't see Danny yet, so he should be here any moment. Okay, good. Everybody says sound okay. Okay, let's get Danny in here and then we'll get things underway. Sorry about the delay. Okay, yeah, Danny's in. He says he's got to get his mic working. Take your time, Danny. After what we've been through, I think we got a couple of minutes. So how is everybody? That's great. Like I said, sorry about the delay. Sorry about the fact that we're doing a YouTube Hangout today instead of GoToWebinar, but that's kind of good. It opens it up to the broader public so people can get a chance to hear what Dan McConnell's got to say today. Yeah, thanks, Ken. Appreciate that. Ken says I sound weird. I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to mean. We won't be inviting Kendrick back to any of our webinars. Anyways, so yeah, this is, we're going to have a GoToWebinar account pretty soon that will be for premium webinars. And so that will limit the amount of people that we have. You know, we'll probably have 100 or 500 or something like that on the live GoToWebinar calls. But what I'll do is upload the videos into, you know, the video section of Black Hat Community, and you guys can follow through by watching them there. Periodically, I probably will open it up to a live and open webinar like this one using YouTube Hangouts. They can be problematic, as we just found out. You know, there are little glitches with free software like that, and you know, so it's never a perfect scenario, but it's hardly perfect with GoToWebinar either. So we'll give Dan a couple of minutes to get in here, and then we'll get underway with the regular webinar. So hang tight, guys. If I could cue elevator music, I'd cue that for a moment. Oh, we still got a crowd building. People are still showing up, so that's a good thing. Okay. Let me throw this out here too, because you know, interviews are interesting. Let me see. Dan says, have I got him muted? No, I certainly don't have you muted, Danny. No, I don't have you muted. So anyway, for the rest of you guys who are going to be listening to this interview today or whenever we're able to pull it off, this is going to be an interview a little bit different than what we've done in the past. We have had people with, you know, products, for example, and some with a long history of success in SEO/internet marketing. You know, big names. We've had some of those, and today it's sort of, we're kind of calling this the regular guy webinar, which I alluded to in the invitation, in the sense that Danny's success with SERPShaker has really taken place over the last few months. I don't know. I'll let him tell us when he gets into the actual chat itself. But you know, we're talking probably April, May, somewhere in that time frame, that he started building SERPShaker sites that were designed to earn AdSense income. And the fact that he's up to, you know, and I'll just give it away, he's dilly-dallying around with, you know, $100, sometimes over, sometimes under, every day, it's a really good result for a limited amount of time. I think he said the other day that he's got about 110 sites, which I think is, is pretty awesome. So hang on just one moment here. So anyway, that's really good. Let me turn that off. Danny, try talking now. Test, test. All right, well, I guess I will talk until we figure out what's going on with Danny's mic. Does anybody know of any wrinkles with YouTube Hangouts that might keep a guest from their mic from working? We've never had this issue before. My mic is supposed to be on, he says. Hey, Todd, are you out there? If you're Todd, is it okay if I send you a join link? Danny, I tell you what, Danny says it says off air. Why don't you stop it, Dan, and start it again? That's what I did when I had an issue earlier, as I completely stopped the Hangout and then rejoined. We'll try that. And if not, I'll get Todd to come on and we'll test his mic. Carter says, check the settings on your browser, but if you're off air, it's not that. Okay, Todd, I'll let you know if we can't get Dan to figure out, if we can't get Dan to do this when he restarts. Might be set up to not allow mic. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Dan does when he stops and restarts. For me, it just happens automatically. Although I will say, oh, Dan, there is a settings button. Okay, will do, Todd. Thanks. Let me see if I can Skype with Dan real quick. Look inside. Let's see, YouTube. I don't even know what the shell is for YouTube Hangouts, but it's there's a gear button. Look inside YouTube Hangouts. Okay. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna talk again while Dan figures it out, and Todd gets his mic going. So the great thing about Dan is, I mean, think about this. He started in let's say May, for example, because I don't know the exact month until he gets on. And I think he's got he's got just a little bit over 100 sites now. And so he's pulling in about $1 a day, which I've always heard was kind of the ballpark goal. Probably pretty reasonable. I think it kind of approximates where I am with my own AdSense sites. It's about $1 a day for them. And of course, that's wildly variable for those of you who have done some SERPShaker sites. You know that you can have one hit and it more than makes up for the several that won't. And so that's kind of where the dollar, I think, comes from. But it's pretty variable. So if you do start down the road with SERPShaker, especially if you're new, don't be surprised if you build several sites and you hear a bunch of crickets, because you're going to hit a gusher periodically, and that's going to be the one that makes up for it. And the other thing I keep telling people, I know it drives all of you folks nuts in Black Hat community when I say this, but watch both of the webinars that I did with Andres, because they're, the one, I would start with the one that we did for Black Hat community, which was about actually earning AdSense income from SERPShaker. And the second one was one that I did an interview out of SEMeasy, which was lead gen in particular. So, you know, watch both of those. I think your probable total viewing time is somewhere around 3.5 or 4 hours by the time you're finished, but you'll get a lot out of them. And the bottom line is you're going to have to decide which one is right for you. My guess would be that AdSense is probably the perfect way to start, and that lead gen is the one to build on as you get going. All right, hang on just one moment. I'm going to help Dan again here. Still trying to reach out to Dan. You know what? I'm going to ask my friend Todd if he'll stand in until we can sort out Danny. And if we can't, you know, if we can't get Danny this time, we will grab him and get him on another time. He's on the Talk Gadget. I don't know what that means, Danny, but can you look? Okay, if on the Talk if you can hear me, Dan, look in the top center of the YouTube Hangout window, and you will see that there is a gear button, a circular gear. Can you see that? Or are you not that far in? I don't. Guys, do you know if Dan can just call in? Or does he have to access? I imagine you have to access it through YouTube. I think Hangouts are different than GoToWebinar in that regard. See if anybody else knows. No comment yet. Oh, Dan, it looks, I don't know which Dan that is. Ah, shucks. Frustrating. Hey, Todd, if I send you a link, will you come on and talk a little bit about AdSense? Great, that's what I'm going to do. Hang on just 1 second, guys. This will be worth your wait, although I have to say it's a little bit different than what Danny's message would have been. Okay, Todd, I sent you, Todd's going to come on. I sent him an invite, so give it just a moment for Todd to come on. I think things have gone south for Danny, even trying to get back in a second time. All right, Todd's here. Cool. Very cool. Can you hear me, Todd? Let me get my mic going here. Are you there, man?
Hello.
Hey, Todd.
You can hear me?
Yeah, man. Thank you. You're a good sport. I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, I was just going to watch today. I wasn't playing along.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Welcome to BH.C. We drug you in here one way or another, right?
Yeah, I'll fill in when I can.
Okay, that's cool. So everybody, look, I don't know what to tell you about Dan's situation, but I will find out. And Dan and I'll do a dry run, and maybe we can do like a bonus premium webinar another time this week or something like that, so that you can hear from him. I think the story with Danny is going to be good. It's going to resonate with a lot of people.
Scott.
Yes. Hello?
Yeah. I'm hearing like myself about 15-20 second delay.
That could be. I think that's one of the problems with YouTube Hangouts. But can you hear me in real time now?
Yes, I
Okay.
hear you loud and let me. Yeah. Okay. That may be better. YouTube
Okay.
is still playing. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So anyway, we'll get Dan back on another time. It'll be great for everybody to listen to him, because I know that a lot of folks have either not tried out SERPShaker or who are very early on with it. And mass page creation has a learning curve, and I thought it would be an encouragement to have Dan come on and sort of talk about how he got started. But we're going to kind of change things up a little bit. This is my friend Todd. Todd is not. I know Todd through SEMeasy, actually, and not Todd through Black Hat Community. So it's not Todd Foster, for those of you guys who are used to Black Hat Community's originator, owner. Anyway, Todd is, gosh, Todd, I don't even want to presume to explain all the things that you're involved in, but I will say this: he does know SERPShaker in and out, and he knows it from more than just the standpoint of Adsense. So why don't you tell the folks here, Todd, a little bit about how you got started with SERPShaker, and maybe build up to tell us a little bit about what you're using it for today.
Sure. How I got started with SERPShaker. Well, a couple of years ago, Don and Andreas, the two original creators of SERPShaker, put out a product called LPN, Local Profit Ninja. Basically, it's SERPShaker without a lot of the features, a ton of the features that were not there that are there today. So basically, it took forever to build a site. You migrate it from your local host up to a host and prayed everything worked well. I built a bunch of sites with that and knew it worked. So when they started early pitching the SERPShaker version, a little over a year ago or about a year ago, I jumped on with it right then and threw LPN out the window and just went straight to SERPShaker. At the same time, I was involved with Don a little bit, doing some testing with the ATM and Lead Gadget, got on that, and then eventually compared the two, and then got out of ATM when they had their hosting issues earlier this year. And that's basically SERPShaker at the time, with hosting provided and some other things. But my experience is SERPShaker, hands down, no doubt, is the best tool I've ever seen in my life. You mentioned Dan had about 100 sites. You can add a 0 and a lot more behind that for what I've got with SERPShaker.
And you're well over 1,000 sites.
Yes, well,
you built with SERPShaker, and I know you build on a good day. You're building several at a time, right?
I told somebody this morning I'm going to try to average 3 to 5 a day, 5 days a week till the end of the year. But quite honestly, I'm probably tripling that a day right now.
Wow.
So and I do have an assistant. I don't do it all myself. I do have a couple of ladies that work for me here.
Yeah, we should really talk about that too, because I think one of the things there are two things that limit how people scale with SERPShaker. One of those is learning how to outsource. So they want to make sure they've got the right staff to support what they're doing. And the other thing, of course, is hosting, because there's not one of us who've worked with SERPShaker who don't understand the implications that it has on hosting, specifically, really big databases that require a lot of robust software to support them. So why don't we talk first a little bit about hosting, and maybe you could tell us how you're hosting now and what you've been through to get to that point.
that is the $64,000 question, no doubt.
For sure.
And that was actually one of the things I was hoping to hear what Dan's doing today. Literally, it is a cluster if you try to run it through shared hosting, HostGator or GoDaddy, or so. Don't even think about it. Don't even try one site. Just don't do it. At minimum, you need a good virtual private server setup, a good VPS setup. I like Limestone. I've got them all over the place, quite honestly. I've got a couple of server boxes that I control, and I use what is it? Surgeon, whatever they're called. What are they called? Surgeon servers or server surgeon, I think it is.
What does that do for you? Oh, please don't tell me we lost Todd. Can you guys still hear me on this end? Test, test. That's funny, David. You might be right. I know where Todd's location is, and I bet they do want to find it. That's really funny. Okay, so you guys can hear me, but you lost Todd also, right? Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Todd. I mean, he was coming in 5 by 5 here, and all of a sudden just stopped mid-sentence. Yeah, right, David. Um, all right. Well, if I can't get Todd back, I don't have a third person to bring on. So we definitely will be looking at a reschedule. Brian, yeah, I went quiet while I was waiting to hear if Todd would come back. There's Todd. Okay, Todd just messaged me in private chat. Todd, you obviously, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm going to type to you. You disappeared from the public audio. Let's see. You lost. Are you serious, Brian? You lost me too? Shucks. Give us a song. Yeah, you don't want that, Paul. I can promise you. All right, hang on one moment here. Todd says he'll be back in 1 minute. I guess something.
Dot.
Hey, you're back.
Yeah, my fault. I apologize.
Would the cat pull the cord out or something?
No, I did a search for server surgeon on the wrong tab.
Okay, cool.
Sorry,
well, you're back. So wait, tell me what server surgeon does, because I've never even heard of it.
Well, it's I guess it's an online management system, support for VPS and cloud servers. So they'll set up your box. If you want to use Maria instead of MySQL, they'll do that. If you want to use Ruby on Rails instead of Linux, they'll do that. They'll set up whatever you want. You tell them. Basically what I do is I've got one fellow I deal with, or have been dealing with him probably for well over a year now. You can chat with them online, call them directly. I've got a private number I can call. that I pay for, so I can get 24/7 access to somebody that, if I need to reboot something, I don't even know how to do it. I don't know the code to do it anymore. I just, call them, send them a message, and they do whatever I need them to. If something seems to be running slow, with the different sites I've got different AdSense sites or different AdSense accounts. So if one of them seems to be dropping down for the day in traffic or something, other than a holiday or Christmas or something, looks really strange for the day, I just send them a message. They'll get back to me. Yeah, it looks like something was jammed up, or you were getting killed by bots or whatever, and we did this or we did that. And honestly, he's a WordPress guy. He knows what happens with WordPress inside out. I really do not know what they do. I apologize. I just don't.
So he does not care where your host is. He can work with any VPS or dedicated host anywhere.
Oh yeah. Just no, they're just basically like hiring a consultant to help you out.
That what was the URL for that? Was it serversurgeon.com?
Yes, it is serversurgeon.com. Yeah, just do a Google search; they pop right up.
Make note of that, folks, because I hear a lot of people talking about. Not so much with dedicateds, but with VPS, we talk about all the different iterations. And so it would be good to have somebody that could be on call, basically, who could get to you if you have some kind of an issue, especially with database issues, like moving you over from onto Maria, for example, as opposed to MySQL.
The reason I got involved with them originally was to back up VPSs. So, I can go into WHM and do what I know to do, but I wanted somebody who could back it up and keep it off site. So it was kind of a one-stop shop for me to do that.
So that's included in the package? It'll actually set it up so that it's an automated backup?
I just know it's something I pay for. I don't know if it's a breakout service or not, quite honestly.
Right. Okay, so that helps you manage the number of different servers you have. Okay, let's step back for a moment. For those of you who are listening, one of the things I hear a lot, and I guess it's kind of human nature, is that people want to start off with inexpensive hosting situations. So I don't hear shared a whole lot, but I do hear about reseller, which is really just a glorified version of shared. And I want to say maybe a little less forcefully than Todd said it. You can fly a little bit with a reseller package. Okay, it's really hard to build with one, and it's really hard to scale up. But you could probably get by for a very limited amount of time. But you should probably consider a VPS as soon as you can, and then when you start to get really big, start looking for a good dedicated situation to graduate to. And the other thing that I've learned, and Todd, I bet you'll back me up on this, is whenever you can get SSD for hardware, by all means use it, because you're accessing databases like a house on fire. You and bots and everybody else is trying to get to your sites, and SSD provides much quicker response.
I am completely SSD. Absolutely.
Everything is SSD?
As far as I know, there may be one or two small VPSs, but all my good stuff that's making money is on solid SSDs.
Yeah. I've worked with a couple of hosts, who were good guys, and they were really, their hearts were in the right place, but there's absolutely nothing like SSD for boosting up the performance. And you want that. You want, trust me, you're going to have a lot of bots that are coming. They're going to come to your site, especially after you begin the indexing process. And SSD is going to keep things from grinding to a halt.
Absolutely. I mean, most guys that unfortunately I see a lot spend too much time buying shiny objects and really heavy loaded plugins, and they want to use everything under the sun on a WordPress site. So and then you go and put a few social sharing buttons and everything else on there. It just slows it down to a crawl. When these bots start hitting, you're gonna get sites that'll take 10, 15 seconds to load. So you need all the horsepower you can get in the server side. Every bit you can afford.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you and I have talked a lot offline about off webinars about variations of SERPShaker sites, and of course you're a good friend of Andres too. So the things that Andres has taught, and gosh, I keep saying it over and over again, if you look at one of his sites, especially one of his Adsense sites, and I think to a degree even the lead gen sites, the first thing that's gonna jump out at you is you're using things like 2012 theme, 2015 theme, the super basics, not loaded up with much of anything in terms of plugins. You might have the Yelp plugin that he created a couple months back, or you might have Stealth on there from Jason. But by all means, avoid loading it up with unnecessary plugins, because they will radically change the performance you can expect from the sites. What other plugins do you find absolutely crucial on yours, Todd?
Well, let me open a site real quick, and I'll just go down the list of one I just created. So I do like the Yelp, and if you haven't got the SS Yelp, and if you haven't got the update 1.08, I think has been released.
Yeah,
and it does have a place where you can put in 4 different API sets of numbers. That is very, very crucial. I was actually beta tested that with him, and it worked great. So yeah, here plugins. I also use I don't even know if it's available or not, his Andrea's WordPress refresh that changes the dates. So about 50% of my sites, that when I roll them out, has this little plugin that updates the date. So every post on the site is dated every day. And then the other half of the sites, I use the Shaker feature and go back about 1.5 years and shake them up. And I think the refresh plugin helps rankings long term.
Yeah, when we
90 days.
When we had Andres on for Black Hat Community, everybody that buys through my link gets a free copy of WP Refresh.
Yeah, that's right.
All they have to do is for those of you who buy SERPShaker, just make sure you message me on Skype, and I can get you set up so you get WP Refresh, because it definitely makes a difference keeping your posts updated to the current date.
Yeah, I'm sold on it. I'm definitely sold on it.
The cache plugin, Todd?
I do. I'm going to just go right down the list.
Okay,
from
cool.
Top down. I use the Better WordPress Google XML sitemaps. Just the free version of that. I use Contact Form. I use one of the other. Most of them are Best Web Soft, a free, a contact form.
Do you use Contact Form on your Adsense sites?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. It's a terms of service requirement, actually. I don't use an email that I actually answer. And while I'm talking about that email, that's something that I learned a while back that actually helps when I'm using a site and I load up a new site. It's coming from a backup buddy clone, just a standard clone with my plugins in it in 2012. So I discovered that I was not going back into my settings and user and updating the email URL to the current URL that I was loading it to. I actually had a different site in it and a different URL from a clone test site, and it wasn't updating it automatically. So I figured out that, wow, I better go do that. So I actually changed the username on every site manually.
Okay.
So somebody, it's real easy to search for sites that have the same username and hacker. It's a kind of a hack trick, but I do that manually. Just make up some name as you go. But make sure your email on your contact form and in your user information is like info@url.com or .xyz or whatever it is. Nothing. I don't make an email. Don't get me wrong. I don't make an email, but it's there.
Right.
Yeah. You could use 33 mail and just make one up. And if you ever got a contact, I get contacts from time to time, and that is actually a kind of a sneaky way of finding out what people are looking for. If I had a boat related site that people started sending me information on, where can I buy this, or so obviously I put some Amazon stuff on it and took Adsense off and switched it around a little bit, and the contact information kept coming in. I see your site, but there's no place to buy this, that, and the other, and so go to lead gen on it and find somebody to sell the leads to. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. So easy plugin for Adsense. I use the free version on that a lot in place of using the ad manager placement for ads. I do about probably 60 or 70% of my Adsense sites have the easy plugin for Adsense site in use. Use the insert PHP plugin. It adds the kind of a more relevant for each URL. I've got the information in my contact and my user form, disclaimer forms with the URL information, the name of the site. So every site updates that information when you turn it on. Kind of like that. It's real lightweight. I think Andres actually showed that off too as well. Okay. When I initially launch a site in a new category, I'll use new StatPress for at least 60 days. kind of tracks the crawling of the bots and gives me some keywords and stuff. And then after that, after about 60 days, one of the girls will go in and copy everything down, and then we delete the plugin. It is a memory hog.
Yes, it is.
So don't use it long term. And if you do, go in and dump the database about every 30 or 40 days if it's getting lots of traffic. SERPShaker Pro, of course, I use a social button on every site at the bottom of the post and pages, and it's share buttons by add to any. I found that some time back. If you go into WordPress plugins, look for the what's it called? Give me just a second.
What's your rationale for a share button, Todd?
Look for the recommended under when you go to upload. Hang on just a second. It'll say featured, popular, recommended. You can click recommended and scroll down through that, and it'll show you. Giving more relevancy to being a real site. Just what do real sites have? Every real local site wants you to share and like their stuff. And I did some random testing December, January, February, first quarter basically of this year as well. And the sites that had the share buttons on, I used 3 different versions of different share buttons. Some load a lot slower than others. This one seems to be very lightweight. It seems to give them more relevancy to local. I got more local searches with the zip codes. When I had them, and literally the zip code started showing up more in searches in the same niche than without it. So, then the SS Yelp plugin, I've got that. I've got the WordPress Refresh on this particular site. WordPress Stealth. I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, but there's free accordions out there as well that work just as well to hide some of the content on your site. So I'll take an article for 1,000 or 1,500 words, minimum 1,500 words anymore, and hide 90% of it. So I've only got 3 paragraphs on top, then a stealth hide button, a lot more content, my videos and map and the random posts from SERPShaker are all hidden, and then 2 or 3 paragraphs below it. So if anybody sees the site, literally all they're going to see is my 5 or 6 paragraphs that are showing, and an Adsense ad top and bottom.
Does everybody type in the box, guys, if you already know about the Stealth plugin, so that we don't spend any time going over something that you're already familiar with? I know we've talked about it before, but when Andres did his webinar, the interview that I did with Andres, he was still using the accordion style stuff. I think he wasn't using the Stealth plugin yet. So anyway, I just don't want to cover ground that doesn't need to be covered.
Yeah. So somebody asked if you've ever had a site de-indexed, and I just responded to that. No, I've never, ever, ever, ever had an LPN or a SERPShaker site de-indexed, ever. I'm just blessed, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I have some, obviously don't make a lot of money, maybe 3 or 4 clicks a month, and those are the domains I won't renew.
Right.
But, we talked about that the other day as well. But no, if the site makes more than $10 a month, it's going to get renewed, and I don't care if they ever get de-indexed or not. But I've never had any trouble with it, never ever.
Gotcha.
Let's see. I got one other plugin over here. Let me check that out. What was that? The last one. The other neat little thing we do from time to time, WordPress zero bounce. So if I have something that looks like I can send them to Amazon or affiliate offer or a CPA offer, and they bounce out, sometimes I send them, most of the times now, again, probably 75% of the times I'm using zero bounce, and just sending 100% of the traffic to wherever I'm sending it. But I do always make sure that you've got that CPA offer, a banner or a text link or an Amazon link on the site itself.
Right.
Before you zero bounce anybody out. So if they do a manual check, they'll see that, wow, it's the same link. This is the link that I'm getting the clicks from. It's on the page. Okay, they never even think, I guess, to look for the zero bounce. And I can tell you, I love that plugin a lot.
Yeah, for those of you who are maybe not familiar, and I will talk about Stealth in just a moment, but let's follow up on this zero bounce discussion, because you need to know about that if you're doing anything with informational sites. Okay, for those who aren't familiar, zero bounce, I can't remember. Todd, look that up. Who are the cats that made zero bounce? Do you remember?
No, off the top of my head, I don't, but I will.
Yeah, I think you can see it probably in your plugins thing. It's I can't.
ForceSpark is the name.
ForceSpark. Yeah.
ForceSpark.
Yeah.
And jumping over the URL, it's forspark.net, N-E-T.
.net. So those of you who aren't familiar with it, Zero Bounce is a redirection technology, and you install it like as a plugin, and then when you activate it, you have an opportunity to put a URL in that you want to redirect people to. And in the process of redirecting them, you've got several, depending on which version of Zero Bounce you have, you've got some decisions to make. Because let's take, for example, Amazon. It's definitely a violation of Amazon's terms of service to redirect somebody over there without their consent. However, you're going to get sales. You're going to find people that are going to get over. They're going to bounce over to Amazon by either trying to hit the back button or by navigating out of the main screen and up to the bar above. They're going to wind up on Amazon, and you control with that URL where they land on Amazon. So if you're using a product or a category that's obviously relevant to the niche that we're talking, that your site's about, you got a decent shot that they're going to look at something over in Amazon. But what Todd's alluding to is on your site, make sure that you have an Amazon link or a widget or something else that looks like somebody legitimately may have clicked while they were on your site to go over to Amazon. Because what you don't want to see, or what you don't want the Amazon people to see, is that you're doing this without people's permission, because they will shut your account down, and there you're out. I had one sale yesterday, but I've got days where I'm doing 8, 10, 12 sales, and it may just be a few dollars each day, but it all adds up. So it's a great way to create some extra income off of these otherwise just plain informational sites.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Stealth, because a couple people said they don't know anything about it. Stealth was created by a guy named Jason Taylor. Jason's not in Black Hat community, but I can look to find out where the purchase link is for the plugin. It's pretty valuable no matter what kind of site you're running, whether it's SERPShaker or not. Basically, what Stealth does is it gives you it adds 2 shortcodes to your editor window. And basically what Todd's saying is he goes and grabs 1,500 words of text from ezine articles, or wherever you get niche relevant text from, and he only exposes, say, 3, 4, maybe 5 paragraphs of that text. And then at the end of that 3 or 4 or 5 paragraphs, what he'll do is he'll put the first of those WP Stealth shortcodes. And then anything that falls between that first of those shortcodes and the second of those shortcodes is hidden to the naked eye. But the bots, for example, Google bot, Yahoo's bot, Bing, all those, they still surf that information. So if you don't want to have a busy or confusing, visible page to your visitors, because you want them to be, basically with Adsense especially, you want them to be distracted by your ads. You want them to click on ads. The more they read, the less chance there is that they're actually going to click on those ads. So you want as little text as possible on the page. The problem with that is, if you have a little bit of text, you're not really demonstrating much niche authority, and you're certainly not doing anything to you're really not going to have much of an opportunity to sort of geolocate the page, which is a big part of what happens with SERPShaker. So by using WP Stealth, you can get your 1,500 words, or in some cases, I have to admit, I'll use 2,500, 3,000 words sometimes on law sites and stuff like that. And I'll add in videos, which oftentimes are videos from competitors. Maybe it's a plumbing site or something like that. But I don't want human beings to see that, right? So I hide it all between those 2 shortcodes.
Let me tell you something I've been doing with videos, if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead.
Is if I don't have any plumbing sites, but I do have a couple of clients that are in contracting businesses, but not specifically plumbing. But let's say I'm building a site around plumbing, or I want to sell Drano or something. I would never, ever, 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 ever use a term in my keywords, the 2 keywords just going to go out to YouTube and look for those videos that's in that niche. I'll be competing with myself. I'm now helping those videos out. So if I'm doing plumbing, I'm going to go look for, I don't know, landscapers or something. Of course, if you're getting into new niche, pull up YouTube and make sure there's videos over there, but use a generic 1-word term like cats, vertical bar, dogs. There's my 2 keywords, and I may be doing a site about kitten mittens or boat covers or whatever. But I would never ever use a site, a video on a site that I actually want to make money with anymore. And I always hide those videos now. I don't even leave them since I've had the stealth plugin. I don't show videos. I think the videos slow down to the actual load time. So if you hover over and you find that little hand open the text area, then the video loads. So it's actually, I think, helping the load time of a site by not showing the map and the if you use the weather, especially if you use the weather weather widget. Weather widget's the word. In the videos, hide all that stuff. I mean, I want my sites ugly so that the call to action, the big thing they see, the only place that they can go, there's no menu at the top. The only thing they can hit is that ad, and just pray that the ad is relevant to the site, or search that they're looking for.
So for those of you who haven't used Stealth yet and can't really follow along with what we just said, when you do place a video or anything else between these 2 short codes, when you pull up the page as a visitor, you won't see any of that stuff. But if you go to the bottom of the content that is on the page and you hover in just the right spot, it's kind of like pixel sized, you'll see that the cursor will change to an obvious link. And if you click one time, if you left click on that, it will reveal all the stuff that's been hidden. So there is technically a way that a human being could see it, but you'd really have to know it was there to or be real dogged to actually find it all.
Yeah,
David says, do you know, Todd, how it's hiding the text?
I honestly do not know. I think from memory, it's an HTML code of some sort, but it's basically an accordion feature that I think he tweaked into his own plugin. And what his feature does is hide the open button. So if you look for accordion plugins on WordPress.org, you'll find a couple of them out there that are pretty good. And Andres actually showed one of them, I think, in one of your earlier BH.C videos, and it's actually great. I've got that on a lot of previous sites. Probably I don't know, a couple hundred different sites still have that in it, where I'll say video here or read more or something else, and there's a place to insert some text. Well, there is with this Stealth plugin too. You could actually put text in it, read more, or watch a video here, and kind of push people to make a click on the site, which is great for interaction, and Google loves that, obviously. But I don't want them to click that. I don't even want them to see it, that it's there. It's a site that's ranking, and they're going to click my ad. That's all I want. So if I get 1 or 2%, or better than 1.5% clicks a day on a site, I'm happy.
Yeah, and it's equally valuable for lead gen sites too, because you obviously don't want somebody distracted by a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Your call to action, your contact box, or the phone number needs to be the prominent thing on the lead gen site as well. So you hide all this stuff so nicely with the Stealth plugin. It's amazing.
I got to answer this question here. I see pop up. John's asking, how do you index your SS sites? Do you use rapid indexing service? Absolutely not. Right. No. I am an SEM member, SEMeasy member. I haven't used IA or DA, God, since sometime about this time last year. No, and I'm not knocking the product. If you like it, use it. I don't need the videos embedded or anything. No. Dead dog simple. I've shared with you, Joe, how I do this before, how I actually index sites.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
feel free. Tell
yeah. Send me $100 via PayPal. My information is, whatever. Actually, I should put this in a Warrior Forum place. Here's the best.
You really should do a WSO, Todd.
I bet I could sell it for $5 and make $1,000 the first week. Honestly,
I bet you could. But everybody secrets away.
Everybody's listening right now. If you just go out and do this, your sites will index. Guaranteed. I got thousands of them that'll prove it to you. I'll take screenshots or do a live screen. there's and I don't know the link off the top of my head. I can give it to you later, and you can send it to these guys. Submit your sitemap. I don't send to Google and to Bing. I don't log into a Google and Bing account to do it. It's a generic link. I'll even throw it in here in a minute. But
yeah, please do. Sure.
Yeah, well, let me open that file up while I'm talking. I submit the sitemap, the XML sitemap, to Google, to Bing. Then I ping the site. I like pingler.com, the free version. I actually have a paid version, but a free version. That's it. Put your name and your URL. I use the main keyword I'm trying to target. No big deal. Real simple. Let's see. Can I actually upload into this chat somewhere a text file?
I think
I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I do have this.
Is this your text file with all your steps in it?
Well, with these steps in it, yes. Yeah, I'm not going to share my main one. That I'll sell for $27.
Yeah, you should get some money out of that. I can tell you right now, folks, idiots not to buy it.
All you got to do is watch Andres' training video, and you learn everything except what I'm telling you now. And I learned this from Don, the other co-creator.
Yep.
And this is what I've been doing for several years. It's all I do. Submit the sitemap to Google, submit it to Bing, then ping the site. And I can't remember the last step.
You might have done it a few thousand times. I don't know why.
My cheat sheet really helps. I'm going to have to open it up here. I have a text file with all the steps in creating it and a list of things to do before I actually do this. It's like change the site email and add the site banner. I do use I'll create some goofy banner. And now with the 2012 updated theme, you can load a favicon, just a picture, and it makes it a favicon. Anyway, so yeah, here it is. I'm going to put these links. Well, I got to take out the URL here. Pingomatic is okay. ProPinger if you want to use it. We ought to give Frank a pitch on his service too. What's his service? Do you remember that off the top of your head?
Frank Schwartz? No, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think I've used it.
I've used it. It's okay, and I will give that a shout too. Here, give me just a second.
I use one called Simple Site Booster.
Yeah, that's good too. That's good. ProPinger.com. That's Frank's. ProPinger.com, ProPinger.com. Just open it up. It's pretty easy. I don't remember how many sites he bought it last year from another fellow. He found it by accident and tweaked it out a little bit. It's fine. Okay. Anything that pings to 50 or 60 sites. That's all you want to do. Doesn't matter who they are. I don't care if Chinese porn sites. Doesn't matter. And then the last thing is I do have a Feedage account, a Feedage account, FEEDAGE.com. I will log into it and I will post a feed, whatever your URL is /feed, and put your site title in it and click submit. That's it. Within 5 minutes, you'll have at least 100 different bots coming to your site from Feedage and just, especially if you use Newstat Press, you'll see them. Just refresh the page in less than a minute. You do all 4 of those steps, I guarantee you bots will come to your site. The one other thing I do in the more competitive niches, let's say I'm going after a local plumber, I will tweet from the page with that social button that's on the site to one of my accounts. Then I'll go to another account, find that tweet, and retweet it.
Okay. Then
the last step I do with that is I'll grab that URL from the retweet, go to Fiverr, find a tweet gig, and ask them to send it out, 1,000 or 10,000, doesn't matter what it is, 500 retweets of your tweet. So you give them the retweet URL from your own account, and then let them retweet that out.
Okay, so it's the retweet URL from the second Twitter account.
Yes, the retweet of the initial tweet, not the initial tweet, but the retweet. And that kind of simulates, there's other things you can do, but that is literally all I do. And then what that does is it simulates a social something going viral. Yeah, something going viral. So all the bots come, and you'll see Twitter come in and do all that too. So it's real simple to do, and literally that is all I do to ever index a site. I can tell you with these XYZs you and I have been going crazy on, within 6 to 10 days, I'm getting Adsense clicks on those brand new launch sites by only doing these steps.
Yes. Literally. For those of you who had any concern about whether or not Google was being truthful when they talked about whether that XYZs and any of these other TLDs have the same weight as you know, a .com, for example, which everybody gets hung up on. I have at least 30 .casas that are killing it. Some are really killing it. The XYZs are indexing and getting activities just fine too. So don't hold up. You know, the sale ends what, in another week or so. Oh, actually, not even a week, right? Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the sale ends Friday. You know, get yourself some XYZs while they're cheap, because while all of them won't work out, that's not XYZ's fault. That's just niche selection and sort of the, you know, the breaks of the game. But it's a good fertile $1 testing field for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's probably the best sell I've ever had on domain names.
Yeah. And somebody else is, I saw it today, although I don't think it comes with free privacy protection. There's somebody else has got $1.99 XYZs until September the 30th. So I guess we'll all jump over there when we're done.
Absolutely. Find out who that is. I'll buy them.
Yeah, absolutely. So any of you guys got any other questions? I don't want to keep everybody too long. I do apologize for that first half hour, which was a total mess.
I'm putting these 2 domain names in the chat now for the 2 domains to use to submit your sitemaps to Google and Bing.
Gotcha. And pingler.com, Brad, was probably the URL that you're asking about. And Todd said he's got a...
Somebody wants to know what the URL is?
Well, he just said, what was that last URL? And it was around the time when you were talking about Pingler, but you also talked about feedage. So I have no idea.
Okay, I'll grab that too.
Yeah, feedage.com, Brad.
And these are all, that's free.
I mean, yeah, it looks free. I just popped in there myself.
I don't care about the stats that they have there, that, you know, you can see how many people have seen your feed or anything, or, you know, I really don't care.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes gets broadcast, and it's a big help.
Can you think of anything else?
Boy, oh boy.
I know there's a lot of things.
I mean, off the top of my head, no. It's just don't analyze a site. If you want to get into an index, and you know what site should you build out, and it's the other big thing. You got the hosting, and you got, you know, what do you use for plugins? What do you use? Where do you get your content from? I do add banners. I take advantage of pictures. I do, you know, change the file name to something that's relevant to the niche, good LSI, load it up through WordPress, and then add an alt with your city state zip. I use a city full state zip, if that helps anybody. Don't know that it matters one way or the other, but always add that in there. And I hide pictures inside the stealth plugin or an accordion plugin. I use 1 or 2, no more. Gives you a great way to get extra you know, relevant keywords in your site or questions or whatever you're doing. I'm gonna go down my checklist here.
Oh, hey, while I think of it, I want to bring one up, and I don't even think you and I have talked about it, Todd, but I found out about this guy from a SEMeasy, a member of SEMeasy. Tim was telling me that a guy named Peter Pavelka, who is in the VIP group, has created 2 plugins. He told me about it about a week ago, and I got the plugins right away. One manipulates the naming and the anchor text and the alt text on images, so that you can put in let's say you put in 7 or 8 tags or long tail keywords, for example. It will rename your images as they go into your Shaker page. It will create a random alt text, random anchor text for you. And the other plugin that he's got, you can buy them individually, or you can buy them a little bit cheaper if you buy both of them. The other one is called Content Manager, and I tell you something, it's really cool, because you could take static text, any text that's in your Shaker page that is contiguous. So as long as it's like one paragraph without any crazy formatting or a URL link, or, you know, just an informational paragraph, you can basically create a short code, or basically it's a short code out of that paragraph, then go on to the next one and create another short code. And what it does, and you can do this even on text that's inside of the stealth plugin, it doesn't matter. What it does is it keeps you from building, you know, 30,000 copies of that, or 42,000 copies of the same text over and over again because it's all stored in short codes. And for me, it cut my database size by about 62%, 61, 62% on 30,000 post builds, which is pretty huge.
It's saving tons of, it's supposed to be saving tons of room inside the database is what it's doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So which would help with your server load and everything else, but I have not tested that. On the alt changes, you can, it's probably an easier way to do it than the manual way of when you insert your picture. You could actually use spin code for your alt text in your description. If you have a list of 5 or 6 keywords, you can actually put that in spin syntax and put it in, and it will spin those. I do no spinning whatsoever. None, not anymore.
Yeah, I've never spun anything until that that picture plugin came along with that Peter did, and I just, like I said, I just put in 6 or 8 long tails, 3-4 word long tails, and it does a great job of renaming the file. I hate the manual work involved in going to grab a file, going to grab an image file, downloading it, making sure it's named properly, the anchor text is all set. So this gives me a really quick way to get around that. But the Content Manager plugin, for those of you who are building a ton of these sites and want to shrink the database size so that you can get more on a server, is massive. Yes, Rockstar just posted the
SS plugins,
ss-plugins.com. Go take a look. He's got a couple of videos up there about how they work, and I think you can get the pair. I think the pair of the plugins together is something like $66. So it's not overwhelmingly expensive.
I'll probably try it too. Peter's a pretty good fella. I've seen him help a lot of guys out in the Facebook group for the VIP side. Somebody's asked a question: is backlinking the homepage of the SS help in any way? I am never going to backlink a SERPShaker site. Never, ever, ever. Use the internal linking structure for the previous, next, and then add a home page. If you're asking about the home page inside the content of each page, yes, I do. Near the bottom of the maybe the next to last paragraph, I'll use a related keyword to link back to my home page. Yes, on every page. Yes, I do that, but no external PBN linking or social linking to home page or anything else. No, don't do that. Somebody else asked there about the 30 or 42,000 page sites. What do you use these days, Doc?
30. I use the
29780.
I think I think the 42 is the US with duplicate
zip codes,
well, it's every zip code, so that creates some duplicate towns. Like Baltimore might have 80 different zip codes. So I use the shrunk down version of that with just one main zip code for Baltimore, and for all the other cities with multiple zip codes.
Yeah, I see somebody, Alan's asking if I use subdomains. I've used subdomains, and I have tested a lot more with extra, what do you call them, subfolders rather, where it's your domain / folder 1, folder 2, folder 3. I can tell you, more like a directory. And I have done that more often than using subdomains. I don't like subdomains. I had some bad experiences back in the day when auto posting for Amazon sites were great. You still had a decent domain, but you had all these other subdomains on. These SERPShaker sites, doesn't matter. You buy it works, and you throw it away if it doesn't. Again, I haven't had anything de-indexed, but I don't like subdomains as much as I like using a subfolder.
Right.
In my mind, it's, again, you just load WordPress to a subfolder. You have a separate database. It can be, if you're doing something on cars, you got one that's Ford, one that's Chevy. Your main site could be Buick or whatever else, and then the whole thing becomes relevant to, say it's car tires or hubcaps or whatever it is, and make each folder relevant to it. Just because you've got different brands, you can do things that way. I'm actually testing some extensive testing right now with these XYZs, 3 subfolders. And so with the main site on the main domain and 3 subfolders that are all relevant to the same, say, a beauty niche. It's, cream for fingernails or whatever. One's going to be for long fingernails, short fingernails, somebody choose their fingernails or whatever else. And I really think they're going to rock like crazy. I don't know. I'll let you know in about 30 or 40 days. But I think they're going to rock their socks off, or my socks off, come Christmas.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? I don't think we've missed too many. Oh, Abe says, can you post a link to WP Stealth? I cannot, but I can get a hold of Jason.
Yeah,
I don't have it bookmarked.
No, I've got it, but I don't want to do it without talking to Jason. It was a freebie to me, and I don't know if there's actually a website for it or not.
Yeah, I bought mine, and I think I want to say
was there a site?
Yeah, he originally posted it at SEMeasy back when he first did the plugin, and I want to say it was like $20 or something like that.
Yeah, I've still got the site open here. It's got a link to site. Yeah, it's no, there's not. It's a GoDaddy Park. It's a GoDaddy Park page. If you go to wpstealth.com, it's a Park page.
Okay,
that's the link from inside the plugin. So no,
I'll get a hold of. Don't worry, guys. I'll get a hold of Jason, and
yeah, he's a big help. If you don't know him, you guys need to get to know him too.
Yeah, he's great. He's the guy same guy that created Leads Phantom, which is a theme that came out to overlay sites on through an iframe on top of things like SERPShaker sites. I guess he did that about 2 or 3 weeks ago. You might remember Andres promoting it back when he first came out with it. But I'll get a hold of Jason, and I've been trying to get him to join Black Hat community, but he's so cotton picking busy. It's just hard to pin him down. But he builds great stuff. He builds SERPShaker sites, so he knows exactly.
Yeah. He's building tools that he uses in his own toolbox, and that's what really helps us
best kind, which is what Pavelka's doing, which is why these things work so well. It's what Andres does, is he brings out things like the Yelp plugin because he knows that it helps him dial in the geolocation a lot better. So
yeah, it really does. Anything you can do. I really like using the features of the SS plugin itself, the map and the weather and the YouTube and the previous link, everything is there, and of course about the SS Yelp. I love it too. I just think even if it doesn't, and people with a Yelp plugin, let me throw this out there, 2 things, that and overlays we got to talk about. I just got sidetracked. What was I going to say?
Oh, you were talking about the basic SS capability.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Yelp plugin itself. If you're doing a 30,000 list and you got some site in Alaska and it just shows the Yelp outbound link on your actual page when you view it, that's great. Not every town has Yelp reviews for anybody or Yelp listings for somebody. So, but the cool thing is it's another that's an authoritative link out to Yelp on your page. You don't have to go get a Wikipedia or something, and it's really cool. I don't care if anything shows up or not. I got the Yelp showing up.
I can tell you that the first town in my list is Acatan, Alaska, and there must be nothing in Acatan, Alaska, because I've never seen it. Not a Dunkin' Donuts, nothing.
I'm
not even sure they've got a police station in that town. So,
I was thinking the same thing.
There's not even a cop there. If you pull up Acatan and you don't see anything, the plugin is still going to work when you get to, Juneau or some of the bigger towns, and it really does make a difference in terms of helping you geolocate. So, it's a great thing to have.
The other thing I was going to hit on briefly,
the overlays. Yeah, go ahead. Do you want to talk about the overlays?
Well, it's something nobody's brought up, but it is something that SERPShaker sites are absolutely work phenomenally well for. They just do. You got a CPA offer, and it depends on your network that you're using, or do not do it with Amazon. Don't ever overlay anything with Amazon. But yeah, an overlay plugin or that Jason's offer you just mentioned. Lead Phantom, the theme that Andres just showed off was absolutely great. I love it. I have used it. I'm testing it now. I've got 30-40 sites at least built out with it now. It does load a lot faster than just 2012, which I like, but I'm going to use that specifically on things I want to overlay, a CPA offer, or even how to build a woodshed from ClickBank. Just put their URL in it, make sure your referral link is there, use your hop link or whatever. But yeah, that is an absolute great way to use SERPShaker sites. And there's one other thing I wanted to hit on was zip codes. Use zip codes in your SS sites. Just do it. You will get.
Okay, but talk about how, like.
Well, when you use your city, state short or state long zip code, and then a zip code, I sprinkle probably 15 in a 1,000-word article. I'm using a couple of like headlines. I don't necessarily always use H tags like an H3 or an H4, but I will bold something that looks like a headline inside, especially inside the self plugin area. It's just the typical on-page SEO stuff, underline a couple of words or bold this one and then bold something that looks like a headline, but put your city, state short or your state long. I do state shorts in the headers, or the H tags, if you will, bolded areas, and then throughout the content, at least 30 times. In some areas, it may just be the city, state short, but have the zip code in there at least another 10 or 15 times, and especially in those little header areas. I don't know that you can actually overdo it. I really don't. I don't know that it can be overdone. The sites I stumble across from time to time, whether they have any monetization on them or not, they may be one or two times on the page. And I know somebody's sitting back wondering, well, I can't get any local searches. I can't rank for, plumber in whatever city. I can't get anybody to click on. I'm getting no traffic. Well, you got to use the whole reason SERPShaker works to begin with. It's localized searches, long tail searches, plumber, city, state. So in some cases, don't just do plumber, city, state. Do plumber near, plumber in, plumber close to. Those are actually things people search for. So yeah, definitely use the zip. You'll love it, Dan. Yeah, you're always. That's probably that's in the top 5 questions I get all the time. Should I use a zip? In some of the private groups like our mastermind with SimEasy, I share, I'll do it any day of the week, share you any searches from any of my sites, and I guarantee you every day one of them's getting at least a zip code search. Some of them, it's half the searches every day.
Yeah, when Andres got on the SEMeasy webinar to do the lead gen build out with us, I was blown away because I wasn't using 5-minute site. Is it 5minutesite.com? I guess I can't remember the URL, but since then I've used it with all the lead gen sites, and it's amazing how quickly they begin to get traffic.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it builds those URL. Every URL that it builds has got some variation. Basically, what you get is you get a post for. You'll get a post for Baltimore, and then you'll get one for Baltimore MD, and then you'll get one for Baltimore, Maryland, and then you'll get one for the zip codes. It's just amazing how many cracks you've got at getting on page 1 of the SERPs for a term. And obviously, Baltimore is not a great example because you'll have a hard time in a big city cracking page 1 if that particular niche, if they're on top of it, but. Yeah, when you're doing this across the country, or you're doing it in the outlying areas, let's say, for example, your contractor is, not just in Charlotte or not just in Richmond, but they're in, what was the example I gave somebody the other day? Outside of Richmond, there's a small area called Midlothian. Well, Midlothian doesn't have a lot of competition for a lot of contractors. They haven't really worked all that hard. You got a great shot if you can cover Midlothian with 4 opportunities to get on page 1 or page 2. And so that's, this is what the value of SERPShaker is not necessarily the big cities, but all the, the 30, 42,000 locations that are around the United States, not to mention other countries that you can compete in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing. If you get the right niche, you'll get searches from all over the nation, all over the world. I mean, rather, yeah. I've got a couple of sites, and I've shared with you a couple of these off the wall CPA offers that I thought I was going to be doing, and Adsense sites that are getting searches from India, Pakistan, I mean, freaking Australia, UK, Germany, all day long. And unfortunately, there's not any good money in Adsense with them, but they're getting tons of traffic.
Yeah.
So I'm using a couple of other ideas, trying to get people, of course, bouncing out to different things, but trying to find other ways to monetize these really obscure niches that I thought were going to be great.
It's always amazing. I mean, you'll learn so many different things. What's your mix, Todd? Before we close up,
Sure.
What's your mix between like AdSense and lead gen, for example, and anything else that you might use?
I'm probably, I honestly do not know. So just a wild guess because of the content, and the one lady that does build SERPShaker sites for me, she's doing nothing but AdSense sites. And I always look at the content and the page before it gets built. She may do a run test of 10 or 15, check everything out, then she'll send me the URL when she's done, and I check it out. And generally I will hit the build button. But so I'm seeing a lot of those more than I am anything else. Good CPA offers anything that's offering over $50 a pop. I will build that personally. So I know that's probably 10 to 12, maybe even 15 a week. And if I really I came across a niche last week I've been wanting to do for quite a while. I had 20 new specific XYZ domains for, and I built each one of those out myself. So
yeah,
I don't know, maybe conservatively I would say 10 to 1.
doesn't sound like you'd give up any of the segments though, right? I mean,
Oh no. It's just the way
they
it
all
happens to
add
be
to your
working out.
right.
I love Adsense sites, have for many years. It's been up and down, but I can tell you it's since LPN came out, I started focusing on that quite a bit. I could live on I could live very well if that's all I had was my AdSense income.
Dan asked how many sites on one AdSense account, and I know your answer got to do more with dollars. So why don't you tell them a little bit about your rule of thumb? Because I thought this was cool.
Lot more to do with dollars. A lot more to do with dollars than it is anything else. It didn't, if you got one site that's making 5,000 a month, then get another account. That's kind of my rule of thumb. When it looks like an account is headed towards $3,000 to $3,500 a month, I will stop adding sites to that, then start monitoring it at least once a month. Generally around the payday is when I find it. Trying to avoid the manual review. I don't know that it's a big deal. I've had sites manually reviewed, and I'm still passing. I haven't had any this year. Maybe take that back. Maybe back January, February, I had a manual review on one of the accounts. I've got I don't know if I'm the king of accounts, but I've got a bunch. And they're not really difficult. Change your name, bank account, and social security, or get an EIN, file an LLC, that type of thing. BH.C may even have some information on how to create other accounts. It's nothing, just Google it. It's real easy. But when an account gets to about 3,000 a month, I start monitoring it a little bit closely. Is 50 of the sites not making anything? Then I'll dump those sites and put other sites on it, and that I know I'll get to that 3,500 mark or so. And that's all I stop. I want to count to try to stay below 5,000 a month.
Yeah. Does that help, guys? I think it's a pretty good rule of thumb. It might seem aggressive to some of you guys now, but you think about it. Danny's already at $100 a day.
Okay, I was going to clarify that. Was it $100 a day was it $1 a day per site?
No, he's got I think he said he had around 110 sites. And so he's running about $110 a day. He'll fall a little, how it's variable.
Yeah, it's up and down.
Yeah. But so he's getting to the point now where pretty soon he's going to have to think about protecting that AdSense account.
I'd go ahead and start. I'd try to, at that point right there, I would go try to find at least one other account, one other account, and do it manually so it's done right. Don't go to Fiverr looking for somebody to buy it for you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think we've dealt pretty much with all the questions. Todd, thanks for stepping in, man. I'm sorry about the short notice, but I appreciate it. And if the rest of you guys are up for it, if the clamor in BH.C is strong, I'll get a hold of Dan, and we'll get on our own little private YouTube hangout, and we'll test all this technology out and make sure it works out fine. And if it goes well, then we'll just set up a sort of an extra date to do one of these, and we'll get Dan on.
Well, make sure you send me an email so I know.
I will, man. It'll also be open to the public, because I think there's a lot of people that are going to want to see these.
One of the things we chatted with offline was people sitting on the fence about SERPShaker. I'm just assuming everybody that's been on today is our SERPShaker users. So, if somebody's still out there sitting on the fence and you're looking for a shiny object, this is not a shiny object, but it is a very, very good tool. I have no affiliate connection to it other than I've known Andres and Don for a couple of years, probably 5 or so years, and love the product, and will help anybody out in the Facebook groups that wants any information. So
Andres is really active in the Black Hat community too.
Is he? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
He's in there all the time and really active and always answering questions, just like Holly is. And so it's a good crew. Andres, he could not be a nicer guy. And I know Don, less well, because Don's more involved in his own project with ATM and lead gadget, which is not an area where I'm in. So I don't know him as well, but great people, and they've certainly come up with a way better tool than the average thing that's out there on any given day, getting promoted across 8 million email lists. And so
yeah,
I guess now we've got a few dozen viewers still on, and I'm figuring that anybody who's on at this point is probably a SERPShaker user. But I'm sure we had a chance to talk to some people who were still on the fence earlier on in the webinar.
Well, it's a good product, and I love supporting Andres. He's great people. He is great
good folks.
Well, I appreciate you letting me fill in. I had no intention of it, and thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, man. Todd, I really appreciate it. Guys, we'll talk to you soon. Sorry for all the crappy tech issues for that first half hour, but appreciate you hanging in there with us. We'll see you next time.
All right, bye.
Take care. Bye.